Can you believe it, hockey fans? We are officially less than a month away from the Stanley Cup Playoffs. Oh man. And it's amazing. Not one spot has been clinched so far this season, as of now. But it's been a crazy last few days. Last week was pretty nuts. Who wants to win the Atlantic Division? Who wants to win it? I mean, in the beginning of the month, Florida was in first place. Then they fell off and Tampa Bay took first place. Now Boston is leading. And it's absolutely amazing. Boston, who, remember, they were in the Stanley Cup Final as recently as 2013, the shortened season. And they had fallen off just a little bitty bit. But they're winning at the right time, and now here they are with a 1-point lead over the Florida teams. It's all here on this beautiful NHL app. Best thing in the world. Boston's up by 1 point, 86 points over Florida. Tampa Bay with 85. According to these standards, we could be looking at an all-Florida playoff series. Oh, man. I'm a sucker for crosstown rivalries, especially in baseball. Because they're so rare, because the American and National Leagues are such direct counterparts of each other. But crosstown rivalries are great. Two teams in the same state, or in some cases the same city, like i.e. New York, just killing each other. And it's never happened in Florida because for hockey, because the Panthers and Lightning have had way more bad seasons than good. They've coexisted for 20 some years in this league. The Panthers' only breakout year was 95-96 when they went to the Stanley Cup Final and was swept by these guys. And Tampa Bay's had a few more breakout years. They were mostly the gutter of the NHL until about a decade and a half ago. They started getting the playoffs. And then in 2004, they had that run to win the Stanley Cup. But of course, last year, they were in the final. But they were destroyed by the Blackhawk dynasty. So yeah. And but it is possible. We could see Florida versus Tampa. At the moment, Florida is the second place team because they have a game in hand. But I would love to see this. I hope this happens. I hope Boston wins that division. So it's Florida and Tampa Bay in the first round. It would be better if it was the division final, the second round, but I just want a crosstown series. Speaking of which, Rangers and Islanders, that seems like a foregone conclusion because both teams are competing for second place. Washington's going to run away with the Metropolitan Division. The wild card race has Pittsburgh the number one wild card, which kind of screws things up for what could be even a more epic metropolitan portion of the playoffs. If Pittsburgh falls to the second wild card, then they'll play Washington. So you have the Subway playoff series, Rangers Islanders, and the other Metropolitan series would be Pittsburgh Washington, Crosby versus Ovechkin. Oh man. This has the makings to be the most salivating Stanley Cup playoffs yet. And they're always salivating. Stanley Cup playoffs is hella fun. It's hella fun for sports fans overall. And it's a close race in the wild card right now. Pittsburgh, Detroit had the wild card spots. Philadelphia's still close behind, 3 points out. Philadelphia 76, Carolina 74, New Jersey 73. Even Ottawa has an outside chance with 72 points. Remember the Senators were left for dead and made a late run, winning games left and right in March to get in. So anything's possible. They still have the best record among Canadian teams, and the Canadian teams are all still out of the loop. In the West, the Central, ooh boy, it's always a dogfight in the Central Division, that beastly, demonic Central Division. Dallas is in first place. Dallas and St. Louis have the same exact record, 41, 20, and 9, 91 points. Dallas is the first place team because they have more non-shootout wins, 39 to St. Louis is 36. Chicago is in third place at 88 points. Though third place has never seemed to hurt the Blackhawks. In the 2 years that this format has existed, the Blackhawks finished in third place both years. In 2014, they went to the West Final. Of course, last year they won the whole thing. And you have the Pacific, the much lower of the two divisions in the Western Conference. That's a dogfight though. The Kings reclaimed first place after the Ducks lost to the Avalanche. Oh, by the way, Kings fans, you're welcome. By the way, all we did was what your Kings seem to fail to do, which is beat the Ducks. Matter of fact, we shut them out. Again, you're welcome. Learn from us. Take notes. But all seriousness, the Kings are in this dogfight. 85 points, Anaheim 83. San Jose has an outside shot at 82 points. But that's where it ends for the Pacific Division, because the wild card is a three-way fight between Central Division teams: the Predators, Wild, and Avalanche. And unfortunately, as of today, the Avalanche are not in the picture. Avs had a tough loss in Winnipeg on Saturday, while the Wild beat up the Canadiens. So that moved the Wild into a tie in points, but they have a game in hand. So that puts Minnesota in the second wild card position, and the Avalanche are on the bubble. And the Avalanche are on a 4-game Canadian road trip. It started Saturday in Winnipeg. We're going to be in Vancouver on Wednesday, Calgary on Friday, my birthday, and in Edmonton this upcoming Sunday. And Minnesota's next game is tomorrow. They're in Ottawa. So this could be big, because Minnesota losing regulation, that moves the Avalanche past them. Tied in points, same number of games played, but the Avalanche have more non-shootout wins than the Wild, 32 to Minnesota's 31. And Nashville's hanging on to that number one wild card spot. They have 81 points, which is 7 more than Minnesota and Colorado. So it kind of, I would say it kind of looks like they're going to stay up there, but this is hockey. Anything's possible. Any team could fall off just as fast as another team could rise. I've seen it happen many times before. And but as far as the wild card race in the West, that's about it. It's basically a 3-team race, and all in the Central. Because right behind Minnesota, Colorado, Arizona is too far out, 67 points, which is 7 points behind. Even I don't see them making any big climbs. The rest of the Pacific is just awful with Arizona and the Canadian teams, especially the Alberta teams, Calgary and Edmonton. They're a mess. It's a hot mess. It's a hot mess. And as I said, no teams have clinched yet. It's Pi Day, March 14th. No one has clinched a playoff spot. However, Washington can clinch a spot as early as tomorrow. Let's see if I got this here. No teams can clinch tonight. Washington is at home against Carolina. If they win in any fashion, they're in. They'll lock up the first playoff spot, the first of 16. Philadelphia plays Detroit tomorrow, so if Philadelphia loses, I think in any fashion, Washington. But actually, Philadelphia loses Washington. Actually, there could be a possibility or Washington clinch a playoff spot just by getting overtime, but Philadelphia might have to lose. But so there could be some celebration in our nation's capital, with the Capitals locking up the spot. And it's only a matter of time before they lock up the Metropolitan. I think their magic number for points-wise, I think their magic number is 10 or 11 points, which is nothing. It's 5 wins at the most. So yeah, that's the story. That's the story so far. As I said, Minnesota is in Ottawa on Tuesday. The Avalanche's next game is in Vancouver on Wednesday. Of course, Vancouver really doesn't have much to play for. You look at the standings. Ottawa kind of does. So I like the Senators' chances. Of beating Minnesota tomorrow night. And that's pretty much the story so far in the playoff picture. It's going to be a hell of a ride this final 4 weeks or so of the season. The races are gonna be even more intense. Teams are gonna get in, and proverbial heads will be lopped off. There's gonna be some eliminations, of course. So that's my week. That's my report for the Stanley Cup Playoff picture. with that, I say good day, my fellow puckheads. Enjoy this madness, this March Madness. That is the push for the playoffs, as they call it on television.